Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity on the River. My name is Maura Lynch. I'm the music director here, and our opening guest artist will be Brian Dozer, and he's going to remind us that love can build a bridge.
It's always something I can't find a pick.
Who's got the pick? I have a pick.
Thank you, Keith. Keith comes to the rescue. They're in there somewhere. Just lost with my wads of cash. I'm also a little scratchy voice today, so I might need some help on the chorus, okay?
We got you, Brian.
I'd gladly walk across the desert with no shoes upon my feet, to share with you the last bite of bread I had to eat. I'd swim out to save you in your sea of broken dreams. When all your hopes are sinking, let me show you what love means. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? I would whisper love so loudly every heart could understand that love and only love can join the tribes of man. I'd give my heart's desire so that you might see. The first step is to realize it all begins with you and me. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? 'Cause when we stand together, it's our finest hour. We could do anything, anything, keep believing in the power. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? One more time. Love can build a bridge.
Sing with us.
Between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Unity Choir and Brian Dozer. Our guest artist today is Lynn Taylor, and here she comes on up with When Lightning Strikes the Tree. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
strikes the tree, he said, it's time for you to go. Oh, it's been so long since I've been home, and I'm ready. So he closed his eyes and left, just like that, to watch us from a different vantage point. And we danced to his memory. When the lightning strikes the tree, when the lightning strikes the tree, when the lightning strikes the tree, I will be gone. Together we have walked over jagged rock, through crooked desert path, sustained only by faith in the treasure that awaits there. The spirits dance among us, they dance with us, they dance through us, they dance for us when we are too lost and scared to care. When the lightning strikes the tree, when the lightning strikes the tree, when the lightning strikes the tree, I will be gone. When the lightning strikes the tree, when the lightning strikes the tree, when the lightning strikes the tree, we carry on. The tree gives its life to the people in a manner so sacred we can only hope to be as holy. We who turn away from love because the fear won't let us feel it, we beg forgiveness on bended knee. When the lightning strikes the tree, when the lightning strikes the tree, when the lightning strikes the tree, I will be gone. When the lightning strikes the tree, when the lightning strikes the tree, when the lightning strikes the tree, we carry on, we carry on.
If you feel comfortable standing and joining the hand of the person next to you, this is surely the presence.
Our Let us pray. Surely the presence of God is in this place because you are here. You, the very embodiment of divine love. You, the visible oneness of spirit. It is through you that God lives, moves, has this being here on planet Earth. As we come together to celebrate, honor, remind ourselves of that deep truth that just as our wayshower Jesus was the calm in the midst of the storm, so are we. The centeredness, the bearers of light, the epitome of love in all that swirls around us. We're here together to celebrate that, to honor that, to share with each other, to commune with each other, to love up on each other. And we do so with a smile on our face and laughter in our hearts, because this is who we are. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Good morning. Please be seated. I am Reverend Ogun Holder, Senior Minister here. I am so glad to be back with you. So I always say everything is a teachable moment. Here's what I have learned. Here's what I've learned is that when I have Thanksgiving and all the lovely food that comes with that, and then December, and I go on my eggnog binges, and then I follow it up with a trip to Barbados where I eat massive amounts of my grandmother's bakery's bread. This is going to keep getting tighter and tighter. So note to self, I got to spread these things out a little bit more or exercise more to compensate with it. But at the same time, what is my other favorite saying? Everything in moderation, even moderation. So that being said, it's always a balance. But there's no doubt about the moderation of joy I feel to be back here with you guys. I thoroughly missed you guys. I miss being here with you, and I'm also thrilled that I'm here with Reverend Carol, who's going to help me facilitate today's service. Thank you, Reverend Carol.
Good morning, Unity on the River. Good morning. So nice to be here with you today. I would, first of all, like to welcome streamers. If you could help me, we'll give them a wave up in the back. Thank you, streamers, for being with us. And also would ask if there are any new people today, if you would raise your hand. Oh, we do have somebody new. So nice to have you. Let's give her a hand for being here. Thank you. And an usher has just brought you a flower and a welcome packet. I see we have somebody over here who's new as well. If you could just fill out the card on the front of the welcome packet and take it into the bookstore, there will be somebody there to answer your questions that you have about Unity. Also, with the flower, you can take that to the bookstore, and there's a one-time 10% discount on anything that you would like to buy. So just know that you bless us. We are so thankful you're here. We believe in all paths to God, and you enrich our experience together. Unity on the River is a center of celebration, inspiration, transformation, spirit-centeredness, oneness, and joy. So let's hold those values in our hearts and say together the mission and vision statement. We'll start with the mission statement. We are a vibrant spiritual community that celebrates the presence in all and awakens humanity to its divinity. And our vision statement, centered in love, we joyously co-create a world of oneness, peace, and harmony. Good job, everyone. We have some brief announcements today. First of all, it's our annual meeting day. You probably saw how beautiful the bookstore looks in hospitality. Tables are set up, so we hope you will stay and enjoy lunch with us, and then stay for the annual meeting afterwards. We're going to hear an update on the state of the church, the election of the new board members, as well as Reverend Ogun's vision for 2017. We also have a lot of February workshop signups, and they're available in the bookstore at the Spiritual Resource Center. Now, the first workshop in February is Living and Learning with Angels of Romance and Relationship. This is with Peg Jones. And Peg, I understand you're here today. If you could just stand up and we will recognize who you are. There's Peg in the back. And she will be here during hospitality with some flyers, and she will answer any questions you might have about the workshop. It's Sundays, February 12th through March 5th at noon. Also on March 12th, the men's group will have a touch base meeting here in the sanctuary right after service. At this time, we're going to take a moment to greet each other in love with either a handshake or a hug, whatever's comfortable, and look at that person and say, I see you. I see your beauty. I see your magnificence. I see the divine in you. Namaste.
I like it when y'all have fun. Have more fun. Have more fun. That should be the unofficial theme. Have more fun. Hi, everyone. So, today is one of my favorite services. It's called Ask the Minister. And I know sometimes Sunday mornings can feel like a week. You know, you guys come in, sit down, I say my thing. You're either inspired or upset or somewhere in between. I'm good with all that. But often there's not the opportunity to interact, respond, to ask questions that might come up for you. So every once in a while, I give you the opportunity to submit some questions ahead of time. Sometimes the question is also, why don't you just take questions during service? Two reasons. One, it gives you more time to think about the question you want to ask. And second of all, a lot of times people ask the same question in different ways. So I can easily group questions together, answer multiple questions at the same time. And sometimes the nuance between the asking of questions opens up the door for a whole different response. So I do appreciate all the questions that did come in handwritten and online. I will not get to every question today because of time. But as you know, I write a blog post every week, so I'll be addressing some more of these questions during the blog post. Please feel free at any time to email me with a question that pops up for you. My email is in the bulletin, revogan@unionontheriver.org. Call and leave me a message. Send me questions anytime you have them. I'll either answer them here during my Sunday service, or I'll write a post that might address them. I want you guys to know that this is a church of interactivity, of connection, of correspondence, and that includes with me as well. So please don't hesitate to ask. And if you want a more personal conversation about something, also please don't ever hesitate to call the office, set up a meeting time with me, and let's come in and talk. That's also why I'm here, and I enjoy doing that, especially if you disagree with me. and I mean that, especially if you disagree with me. Because what often happens in that disagreement, we open the door to learn with and from each other. And I get to consider maybe some things I had not thought about before. I'm not here with all the answers. I'm here learning with you. So please don't hesitate. So I thought I'd start with some easy questions and then work my way up into some of the more denser stuff. So some of these easier questions we can go quickly with because I have answers like that. So for example, somebody asks, when is Cindy Swall coming back? Some of you are familiar with who Cindy Swall is. She's a person who's spoken here a lot, helped this church out with so many things during the transition and before that. She will be back on Mother's Day to be the speaker because it's Mother's Day, and I have no place of authority to speak as a mother. So I thought it'd be nice to have a mother to speak on Mother's Day. So she'll be here. See, easy question. How is my marathon training going? So about that. So sometimes I tend to get ahead of myself a little bit. So those of you who were here when I started 2 years ago, remember that I was all caught up in the heat of the moment of getting back to running and feeling good, and the Boston Marathon was happening, and I was like, I'm gonna run and train and run the marathon, and I'm all like excited about that. Well, wait for it. So to this point, my knees have let me know that so far all they're able to do is 12 miles. So that's about as much as I can run right now. When I hit about 12 miles, my knee says, I don't care how much willpower you have, we're not going anymore. Okay. Marathon, last I checked, was what, 26.2? Yeah, because that point too, man, we got to get that in there. So as of now, you might see me in a half marathon, maybe, but don't clap yet. Wait. Didn't say I am going to. I said you might. Not getting ahead of myself this time. So, but that's, and with the whole thing I just said with the indulgence I've been doing over the last few months, maybe a quarter marathon. Let me watch you hit me in. No, that's not quite an easy one. Do you plan on a class based on the metaphysical interpretation of the Bible? If so, when? Yes, I do. I'm not sure exactly when yet, but stay tuned for that. We always list our classes all over the place. Mark your calendars now for our Spiritual Enrichment Education Week, or SEE Week, where we did this last year, where we have like anywhere from 3 to 4, 9 classes, like running all at the same time. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sure a Bible class will be in there if I don't teach it before then. This question I'm going to touch on briefly and then probably answer more in a blog post. Can you explain the virgin birth and what really happened? Did somebody just clap? Somebody back there clapping? Thanks, Cindy. She's on my staff. She was really rooting for that question. So I'm not sure, the person who answered this question, if you had heard the series of talks that I gave leading up to Christmas. If you haven't, they're archived up on YouTube. Please go check them out, where I kind of talk about that finding that comfort zone between facts and biblical scholarship and the story as it's written, and where we can still find the spiritual inspiration and sustenance from stories that sometimes don't seem to align with what we may know to be factual. And scholars continue to discover and learn more about. And the virgin birth is one of these. Now, here's where really the doctrine of virgin birth comes from, and maybe why in Unity we don't necessarily ascribe to it, is the idea of the virgin birth was really based on this premise that Jesus, the Son of God, was sinless. But the problem was there's this doctrine that says anyone born from another human being is born in sin because of Adam's first sin. So the church found themselves in the pickle. Well, how can Jesus be sinless if he's born of a woman and a man, because then he inherited sin? So here's the solution. How about we have him be born from a woman who did not get pregnant in the traditional way, and instead, God caused her to be pregnant, and therefore she's not inherited Jesus has not inherited Adam's sin. So this is the I'm painting with a broad stroke here, but that's the general idea behind that whole virgin birth, and why then it was kind of told to make sense of this whole thing about inheriting Adam's sin. Now, in unity, and not just in unity, people don't know this, but as long as there's been the doctrine of original sin, there's also been the doctrine of original blessing. The two have walked side by side for the entire history of the church. Traditional church tends to dwell more on the original sin idea. New thought communities like unity and religious science and tend to align more with the original blessing idea. And you can find biblical passages from the Bible that kind of support both. So when you have an original blessing concept, you don't have to worry about if Jesus was born of a virgin or not. And you can perhaps find comfort with a traditional pregnancy. Make sense? All right. So I hope that, the other thing about that is the virgin birth story is also a reflection of the power of myth. Because if you look at other religions and other spiritual beliefs, more often than not, the central figure was born of a union between a woman and God. So it's one of these also enduring myth stories that works its way through every major religion. Every major religion almost also has a flood story. Christianity with Noah and the ark does not have the lot on a flood myth. So there are many of these stories that work their way through. All right, working our way up. Let me hit this one, because this is kind of aligning with that. I got a lot of questions regarding ritual here in Unity. I'll read a couple of them for you, because I'm going to kind of tackle them all at once. Someone wrote, I miss participating in communion and other rituals. How do you envision being part of the experience here? And will you create some more rituals? Another one, you spoke recently about unity and its lack of ritual. Please address Unity's position on communion. Why are Unity churches so different from each other, which I think you'll see will tie in with that. And then a question about mission trips, like Haiti recovery, disaster relief, habitat. Do we do any of that sort of thing? So here's the thing about Unity. Unity churches are autonomous, which simply means that even though there's Unity Worldwide Ministries and it's kind of a parent association that helps that helps support the churches in their functioning, Unity churches are autonomous, which means every single Unity church pretty much decides what they're going to do to be spiritual community. Okay? So stuff that happens here in Unity, we as spiritual community have decided that's going to happen. There's no mandate from the parent church. Along with that means there's no monetary support from the parent organization. So pretty much we sustain ourselves here at Unity on the River. And what often happens, therefore, is that how a church shows up is an entirely reflection of the community and their minister. This is why when you go to 12 different Unity churches, you will likely have 12 totally different experiences. The theology and the teachings are pretty much going to be the same. Okay? Most Unity churches will sing the peace song at the end with some word tweaks. A lot of them will sing Surely the Presence to begin service. Some of them sing the Lord's Prayer in the middle of the service. Some of them just recite it. Some of them have nothing to do with the Lord's Prayer. So you get these little variations. Without doubt, you'll experience a meditation in no matter which Unity church you're at. So there are some similarities. There are some differences. So back to the first question about communion. I do want to bring communion back. I'm actually thinking about doing that this year. But one of the things we have to understand is what does communion mean? What does it mean for you? What does it mean for this church? What does it mean in Unity when we think of the communion ritual. The communion ritual was first established as basically a celebration of the body of Christ, the body and the blood of Christ. It came out of the Passover, the Last Supper story in the Bible, which was really Jesus and his disciples, 13 Jews. Let's remember, Jesus was a Jew, not a Christian. 13 Jews celebrating Passover, something that Jewish people in the communities celebrate to this day, an age-old tradition. Okay, and so from that, which is called the Last Supper, the Christian church decided, okay, well, let's make communion out of that. And depending on which Christian faith you align yourself with, communion actually became the host, the blood, the wine, the grape juice, whatever it is, and the bread, the wafer. If you're in a Catholic tradition, that actually transubstantiation became the body and the blood of Christ. In other traditions, it's simply remembering that occasion of his death. So it has a lot of meanings for a lot of different people. And like I said before, what ritual does, the intention of ritual really is to bind us together as one. To bind us together as one. Rituals spring out of communities as a way to show and demonstrate and remember this is who we are as community. So communion becomes interesting because many people still feel that sense of connectivity to each other and to God through that ritual. But then there's some other people who, because of their experience with the church in the past, go, I don't really want to do that because of my church experience that didn't go well. Okay? So where do we find that middle ground that helps to honor wherever people are? And that's something that I and other people will be kind of working through as well. But that's what the church experience, especially Unity on the River, is about. Finding how do we create spiritual community that kind of helps meet people wherever they are. Here's an interesting question that kind of, I think, is speaking to that or can fit into that same category. When and how can we get to know each other's souls in harmony, laughing and celebrating together, all of us where we feel so free that every Sunday is a big party? Personally, I don't know how much more partyish we're going to get because this is Celebration Sunday service. But at the same time, we have people who say to me, I wish there was more of an element of sacredness in our service. I wish there was more meditation or prayer time. Why are things so loud? And so we have a spectrum. We have a spectrum of people, and no one's views, opinions, preferences is illegitimate. Everyone comes with their own. So again, where do we find that, as the Buddha would say, the middle way that kind of addresses the entire spectrum? So we have a nice, lively celebration service, and we have things like a Wednesday evening, more contemplative, quiet meditation service. We recently had a dance party here, right? Yeah. I would imagine there was laughing and celebrating together at the dance party. So we will have events that speak to the spectrum, but there's never going to be one single thing that speaks to that entire spectrum that everybody can show up at and feel satisfied. Why? Because if you look in this congregation, sitting in front of me, maybe 150 of you, that's 150 different needs, wants, and desires. And if I really knew, or if I had it within my power to meet and satisfy the needs of every 150 of you, I'd probably be in politics before I was in politics. Speaking of politics, why are we all, and no, politics is a good thing. Here's so we had some questions, undoubtedly, not surprisingly, came in about our recent happenings. And again, this is a great example of demonstrating the spectrum that we have here. For example, Reverend Ogun, one of your core teachings that many have embraced is being at peace with what is. Please speak about being at peace while taking action in these turbulent and critical times on the planet. What specific kinds of support can we offer for people afraid of losing something they value that seems at risk right now? Healthcare, free speech, access to reliable information. How can Unity on the River offer congregants in creating a useful discernment process to balance the pull of activism with the need to remain centered in peace? Here's another one. Could you please explain the reasons for a political text message last Sunday, referring to the post that I made that I had read at the service was that last week? Yeah. I feel that the one place I can come to for peace and unity has become a political platform. Unity behind our president, despite political differences, is important. So again, spectrum. How do we find that middle way that allows us to all felt heard and to all feel still that sense of peace? Here's another one. How can one meaningfully engage in politics without participating in conflict? So this is a very complex issue, and will call a complex response from us. It is not as simple as saying, I don't agree with X, therefore I have to do X. There's no direct correlation here. What we do as individuals may not be appropriate for what we do as a spiritual community as a whole. If you've been following me on Facebook or Twitter, I think you're pretty clear where my personal feelings are about actions and executive orders and all that. And let me just address the word politics for a second. You know, in where we are in this day and age, not just here, but all of the word politics has become synonymous with negativity. It kind of has. When you look at the real meaning of the word, what does the real meaning of the word politics mean? It's about how we govern each other. And when I look at the word governance, it's about leadership and accountability and relationship with each other. Politics is a reflection of how we choose to be in relationship with each other. And here at Unity on the River, anyone who is a spiritual seeker, I think you may have got yourself to the point where you want to be in relationship with yourself and other people in the world from your heart. And when you do that from your heart, regardless of party affiliation, regardless of income level, regardless of race, regardless of fill in the blank, when we live from our hearts, we tend to gravitate towards a feeling of wanting to see oneness, wanting to see equality, wanting to see everyone be treated as one. And we haven't got it down yet. I don't care who's been president. I don't care which party's been in power. We haven't gotten it down yet. It is a process. And at the same time, when we take the long view of history, I believe we as human beings continue to treat each other better, with more equality and with more love over the long haul. Okay? So remember that at least. We evolve in a process of fits and starts, not just as a country, individually. How many of you, I ain't gonna throw anybody on the bus, I'll throw myself under the bus. I can tell you that in my journey in unity, every time there's been a spiritual teaching that I've heard and latched onto and go, yeah, that's what I wanna live, that's what I wanna embody, the very next day, there was an opportunity to put that to the test. And some days, I mastered it. And some days, I was like, what just happened? In Unity, we have a term called chemicalization, which means that when we lay hold of a new teaching, the previous set of beliefs that we held, we are in struggle to work with and release because this is what we were living from. And we can extrapolate that to this country as we've evolved and continually become a place that seeks justice, that seeks equality, that seeks to make sure that the needs of all are met. The belief systems that operate in the country before that are squirming. So it's a process. It is a process. To this day, for example, for every dollar a man makes, what does a woman make on average? It's like 77 cents or something like that. You know, thank you. Unless they're a black woman, it's even less. Minorities. So we still have a ways to go. Politics is about how we choose to govern and be in relationship with each other. So if we say that we want to live in love and from love, then yes, we have to be engaged in some way in how we choose and how we reflect the governorship and leadership of our neighborhoods, or towns, or cities, or states, or countries. Now, that being said, let's come back to our spiritual practices of where do we turn first in every situation? Turn within. We turn within. We become centered and ask what is ours to do. You know, over the last few weeks, there's been so much reactionary things, you know. And I'm not judging them as negative or positive. I'm just saying they've been very reactionary. A great example, and I'll give you a light one so we can be a little more comfortable here. Are you guys familiar with the delete Uber movement that happened? Delete. Everyone knows what Uber is. So let's start with there. So Uber is like basically a ride-sharing service where you get an app on your phone, you want to get a ride somewhere, you hit the button, somebody driving the car comes to get you, and you go. So it's kind of like a, you know, high-tech taxi service. And the people who drive the Uber cars are, you know, everyday folk like you and me. I know there's some people in this congregation here who have worked as, and maybe still do work as Uber drivers. Great way to make some side money. So the evening that the travel ban was announced, and you know, protesters rolled out at the airports in New York City, the taxi drivers, the regular yellow cab taxi drivers, said in protest, we will not work for an hour. Okay. And I think that hours were like 6 to 7. At about 7:30, Uber company said, we will suspend our surge pricing so that people can use our drivers and our cars at a reduced rate. Surge pricing is when things get crowded and there's more need for cars, the prices of things go up a little bit. People say it's an unfair practice, but again, when you think about it, it happens all the time. You know, try flying to Barbados in winter versus flying in August. Trust me, surge pricing is a thing. Anywho, so this post comes out. The intention behind the post was if you want to get to or from the protest, we're going to make it easier on you by reducing our rates. That was the intention behind the post. How some people saw it, though, was, oh, look at that. They're trying to take advantage of the taxis not running to get more business. And someone started this delete Uber campaign, and suddenly hundreds and thousands of people are deleting Uber and saying every bad thing about Uber and the CEO and so on. And Uber's trying to explain what's happening. No, you got it all wrong. This was not our thing. And it was very reactionary. Very reactionary. Then some of these people we will never support anything that seems that it aligns with our president. We're going to go over to the other ride-sharing service called Lyft, L-Y-F-T. I am not a sponsor. Lyft. And we're going to go with them because they're not doing this, and they gave $1 million to the ACLU, and we're going to support them. And everyone's like, yeah, go to Lyft. And then if you took a moment to breathe and read the details, you realize that the majority shareholders in Lyft are Trump supporters and endorsers. Now, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I'm saying if your rationale for doing one thing is to do another thing, did you check to see what that other thing is about and what the rationale for that was about? So what I'm encouraging us to do is remember this. We're going to have a reaction and response to things as they come out. Why? Because we're human. And we live from a place of love. And when an action or something, whether it's from our president, whether it's from I don't know who, from your neighbor, seems to reflect something that is in injustice or inequality or whatever, and we go like, this is not how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to love each other and live from a place of equality, and we get stirred up, and we, guilty, start sharing things on Facebook and getting into arguments and the thing, and we're, remember, remember who we are at our essence. We're spiritual beings, people who reside in here. So we take a moment to breathe and turn within and really get clear from that place of love what is ours to do. It might be ours to march. It might be ours to meditate. It might be ours to write our congressman. It might be ours to simply, yes, write a post reminding people on Facebook that we are people of love. As a spiritual community, it takes a little bit longer to decide what is ours to do. Since I've been here, people are like, oh, can we do this? And we should do this. And things have been coming in. And I'm like, let's just breathe. We have a board. We have voices here. Let's take the time to come together as a community and decide as a community what may be ours to do, if anything at all. Speaking of which, when you go in the bookstore at the Spiritual Resource Center, you'll see a sign-up sheet for something called Love in Action. I do want to start a Love in Action team of people who are interested in sitting with me and let's talking about what are some of the options we have out there as a spiritual community if we want to be a voice for love in action. So I want to invite those of you who are seriously like, I want my church to do something. Sign up, and we'll meet, and we'll talk, and we'll make sure that we're coming from here, not from up here, because that's what we're called to do. And let me wrap up by saying this. We will do something, and here's why. Here's why we as a spiritual community, I want to encourage you to join with me for us to do and be something. Because if you look at the history of this country, if you look at the histories of injustices in this country and how the journey was made to overcome them and continue overcoming them, so many of them, one after the other, rooted where? In the church community. Let us not forget Martin Luther King Jr. was what? A reverend. Let us not forget the power that the voices of the black churches in the South had during that time to rise up and say, in peaceful protest, to say no. We want a different experience. The color of our skin does not make us any different from who you are. So at this time, when not based on fear and speculation, but maybe based on the actions of a new administration and laws and policies that are being proposed and passed to take away the equality of others, to take away the steps we've made to ensuring that love in action looks like oneness, looks like equality, looks like women making the same amount for men for the same positions, looks like people who are lesbian, gay, transgender have exactly this, thank you, Malik, have exactly the same rights and allowances as anybody else does. Because why? Love would say we are one. And if we believe that love says that we are one, how do we bring that from a consciousness truth to a truth in the visible world? And sometimes that does require us to be a verbal voice, to be in action. Let us not forget that every single one of the people who we hold up as avatars for peace and justice were in action. Even if that action was a peaceful protest, they were in action. Not only were they in action, but they were a voice for the love and equality. If you've never read all the writings of Martin Luther King Jr., I'm going to encourage you to do that because he had some firm words to say to people, especially those who witnessed but did not take a stand. Read the words of Jesus. He was an avatar for peace and love and demonstrated the oneness that is God. But let's be clear, he had firm words for both the religious and political authorities of his time. And in the midst of those firm words, he still demonstrated the love to them. He healed the centurion's daughter and the slave of the centurion. He met with Nicodemus, the Jewish rabbi, in the middle of the night to have conversation with him. He ate with the dinner with the tax collector, probably the most hated person in the Jewish community at the time. So he walked that really nice line between demonstrating love and being a visible voice and action for love. So in this time, I believe that's what we are called to be as well. And we do so with mindfulness. We do so from a place of centeredness. But we do it. Okay? So I look forward to all of you staying for our annual meeting. Not only will we be, as said earlier, electing new board members, talking about how the church has been in the past year, but there'll be some time for you to ask questions of us, the leadership, as well. And we want to hear your questions. We want to hear your voice. We want you to be a part of how this community shows up in the world. Because there's no more important time for communities like us to show up in the world. Let's meditate. So I invite you to take a deep breath right now and simply get in touch with whatever you may be feeling. Whether it's calmness, whether it's agitation, dissatisfaction, impatience, whatever it is. Don't judge it. Just notice it. And as you notice, simply breathe into that heart space. Realizing that every feeling is simply an indicator that leads us to that question of what is mine to do, of what is ours to do. So judge not the anger and the outrage. Judge not the silence and the absence, but simply allow them to guide us to that question, what is ours to do? What is mine to do? What is mine to do to be the face and the voice of love? What is mine to do to be the hands of love? Continue to breathe into that question. What is mine to do to be love? What is mine to do to help bring the true love and oneness that we know is all there is to this world? So remove a few moments in the silence. Let us rest in that question. What is mine to do to bring God's love to the world? What is mine to do to bring love into the world? It's a question we ask of ourselves when we hold that intention for all the names in our prayer box as well. Is there a prayer chaplain who can bring the prayer box up? Recognizing that for these names and situations and individuals, that what is before them is simply an opportunity for them to bring God's love into this world in the midst of the challenges and the difficulties. God's love is ever present and real in, through, and as them. Should you hold that intention for others in your life, I invite you to say their names out loud now. And saying their names out loud, we remind ourselves that we are God's love in their life. And we ask ourselves, what is ours to do to show up in their lives as the love of God? This is perhaps the most pressing question that comes before us as individuals and as spiritual community every day. What is ours to do to be that visible, tangible demonstration of God's love? Namaste.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I have lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only
Thank you, Reverend Ogun, for having the bravery to stand up here and answer all of our questions. We appreciate it. I'd like to take a moment to have these beautiful souls who serve as our prayer chaplains to stand, if you are able, and be recognized. Our 4 prayer chaplains are available, I would say after the service. Some of us will be going into lunch, and they're here to pray with you, to share celebrations, and just to listen. And just know that your prayers and intentions will be held in strictest confidence. Thank you. And also, we have a home and hospital visit program under the direction of Reverend Annie Houghton. I saw Annie earlier. If you could just stand, Annie. If you have any questions, Reverend Annie can talk to you about a home or hospital visit. Thank you. And it's at this time that we take our offerings in hand and just feel the energy of abundance and say together the affirmation of tithes and offerings. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
I'm happy to have Lynn Taylor come back up with her offertory song.
Love knows no bounds. As new days we start, I'm here and you're there. In the light of the stars, at present the miles may keep us apart, but not in our souls, but not in our hearts. You are and will always be wrapped eternally in the arms of my soul. All that we lived and all that we lost, worlds do collide and paths are crossed. Love falls like rain in rays of sun. It's a gift from above. It's a new life begun. You are and will always be wrapped eternally in the arms of my soul. I'll keep you warm, I'll give you peace amidst the storm. The strongest winds that ever could blow are nothing compared to loving you so. You and will always be wrapped eternally in the arms of my soul. You and will always be wrapped eternally in the arms of my soul.
Thank you, Len. Let's take a moment to express gratitude for these gifts. So just take a moment, turn within, and direct your attention and energy to this bounty, this reflection of the ever-present abundance that is God that flows in, through, and as us. We give thanks for all that we receive here today, online. Those of you who give here, those of you watching online who give, we are grateful for you and all that you share, so that we can continue to be the spiritual community that we are. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Before we hear from, I'm assuming, Lynn one more time, our children will not be coming in today. They're going to stay over in the kids area. So if any of you parents want to go over to grab them to maybe get some food before annual meeting, you're welcome to do that. We'll open the doors for the sanctuary for the annual meeting by around 11:45. What we're going to ask you to do is, as you come in, we have a list of those of you who are members. We want you to confirm your contact information. What often happens is people come, they move, they have new residences, change their phone number, and we don't know it happens, and we would like to stay up to date with the latest information. So around 11:45, please feel free to come in and start doing that so we can start the meeting promptly at 12. And quick final note, for those of you who signed up for the Absolute Abundance class that begins this evening, you can go purchase the books that come with that at the bookstore today, or you can get them at class tomorrow evening when we start. The Absolute Abundance is the prosperity class that I'll be teaching starting tomorrow evening. As always, more information about that online and the Spiritual Resource Center. I think that's all I got to say. We're going to celebrate some more with Len, and then we can go have some good food. Thank you. Oh, we can do some quick thank yous. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Quick thank yous. Always be in gratitude.
Sorry about that. Lots of thank yous. As you know, it takes a village to create these beautiful services. So we want to thank everyone who does sacred service. I'd like to personally thank my son, Seth Walrazak, for doing a good job coordinating it. Yay, Seth. And we do choose 3 teams each Sunday to honor. Thank you, folding team. Thank you, choir. Thank you, hospitality. And then there's individuals. We call them our angels. And this week, thank you goes to Madeline, John, Karen, Bob, Lynn, and Marty. And we'd also like to thank the board members. So if you're a board member, if you would please rise so people can see who you are. Thank you, board. And they're certainly available for any questions that you might have. And now I understand Lynn is coming back, and she is doing our celebration song. It's called Be Part of It. Go, Lynn.
I got a life, I live today. I don't know why I feel this way. Sometimes it's good and sometimes bad. Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes sad. Sometimes I don't know where to turn. Sometimes my heart and soul do burn. Is that the only way we learn in this great experiment? Some got some doubt, some got some faith. Some live with joy, some live with hate. But I have hope we can relate if we just try a little harder. We are in life, we are in love. No one below, no one above. Though I feel different, I'm part of you all, and you're part of me. Take a little time, take a little time, take a little time, take a little time to be part of it. Take a little time, take a little time, take a little time, take a little time to be part of it. And there is joy beyond the fear, through the wilderness of tears. When all is said and done, we can learn to live as one. Top where they'll wait, all those who have gone before, with arms outstretched open the door. And we step into the light, and we feel a shift inside, and we know we have arrived, that this is home now. This is home now. And there is joy beyond the fear, through the wilderness of tears. When all is said and done, we can learn to live as one. There is joy beyond the tears, through the fears. When all is said and done, we must learn to live as one. Well, take a little time, take a little time, take a little time, take a little time to be part of it. Take a little time, take a little time, take a little time, take a little time to be part of it. Take a little time, take a little time, take a little time, take a little time to be part of it. Take a little time, take a little time, take a little time, take a little time to be part of it, yeah.
Thank you, Lynn. I invite you to stay standing, take the hand of your neighbor. Let us affirm the truth that we know for this world and for ourselves, that there be peace on earth. And yes, it does begin with us. Our prayer for protection, the light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well, and we are richly blessed. Go get some lunch. We'll see you back here for the annual meeting.